This is the J. Scott Outdoors podcast on Western big game hunting and fishing, brought to you by GoHunt.com Insider. Research faster, hunt more. Go to GoHunt.com/insider and use the J. Scott promo code when signing up to receive a $50 KUIU gift card. I'm your host, J. Scott, and I live and breathe hunting and fishing, spending half the year in the field experiencing God's creation. I hope you'll enjoy hearing about our adventures. Guys, welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast. Today's episode with Darr Colburn of Colburn and Scott Outfitters and Craig Steele of Exclusive Pursuit Outfitters is going to be on the breakdown of the 2016 Fall Bighorn Sheep hunts in Arizona. And before we get into that, I wanted to go over a couple things. First is the Arizona Bighorn Sheep bonus point totals. The max point this year is 27 points. There's 107 residents, 5 non-residents, so a total of 112 applicants. And then I'm going to read down the list: 26, 25, 24. 26 is 235 with 200 residents, 35 non-residents. 25 points is 168 residents, 51 non-residents, 219 total. 24 points is 229, 23 is 296, 22 is 323, 21 is 368, 20 is 378, 19 is 421, 18 is 482, 17 is 522, 16 is 735, and you can kind of get a gist. The number just keeps getting bigger and bigger there. I also wanted to in our efforts in this episode, we tried to be as extensive as we can, but I don't think I left a clear indication for non-residents what my top units would be for non-residents. I've had a chance to go back over and look over the stats and look over the quality. Now, this is top units for non-residents with quality, quality of hunt and quality of animal in mind. Number one, Unit 22. By far and away, I think it's the best hunt in the state. They've dropped it from 4 tags down to 2. The quality has slipped a little. It's nothing like it was in 12 or 11, 12, or 13. But they're still 175 plus type rams. I was fortunate to spend a lot of time in that unit last year, guiding Craig Dunlap on his Unit 22 hunt. And he was able to get a magnificent ram that scored a little over 178 inches. Number 2 is 3132 Aravaipa. Number 3 is 37A in the Silver Bells. Number 4, even though I'm going to go against the grain a little bit here, I'm still going to pick 15D as a great unit for non-resident. I'm hoping that there'll be some older age class rams left that don't die of pneumonia. I think it's a little bit of a gamble, and we'll talk about this in the podcast, but I still think it's pick number 4. Number 5 is Unit 40A. There's 2 permits in that unit. Number 6 is 43B. There's 7 permits in that unit. Number 7 is 44B North, which always used to be at the top of the list, but the cream has definitely been taken off the top of that unit. And number 8 is 13B North. If you guys have any questions at all, whether you're a resident or non-resident, and want my opinion on certain units or what have you, feel free to email me at jscottoutdoors@gmail.com. Guys, I want to thank you guys, the listeners, for all your support of this podcast. I also want to thank the sponsors: Wilderness Athlete, Western Hunter, and Elk Hunter magazines, Phone Scope, Outdoorsman's, Utah Hydrographics, and of course the title sponsor, Go Hunt Insider. And I'm going to ask you guys to go check out each one of these sponsors on Instagram, check them out on their Facebook pages, go to their websites, and each one of these sponsors gives a discount, which you'll hear throughout the podcast and the different commercials. So support those sponsors that support this podcast. Guys, you can also follow along Darr and I's adventures, Colburn and Scott Outfitters.com, on Instagram at JScottOutdoors, or Darr Colburn, or at Darr Colburn on Instagram. And feel free to go to jscottoutdoors.com, as well as our YouTube channel. All of our desert sheep, as well as the Rocky Mountain Bighorn sheep hunts, are on our YouTube channel. Darr was fortunate last December to guide a hunter in Unit 6A, an archery hunter, and shot a magnificent ram that scored a little bit over 180 inches gross, and just a fantastic hunt there. And also looking forward to the split hunt in 6A. I think that first hunt is going to be an unbelievable rut hunt. And we've also been fortunate the last 4 out of the 5 years to guide the Arizona Super Big Game Raffle Hunter, and done very well with that tag. Last year, Darr had some other conflicts with his sons drawing a Coues deer tag, so I partnered with Craig Steele of Exclusive Pursuit Outfitters, and we guided the raffle hunt to the second largest raffle ram ever harvested in the state of Arizona. It wasn't quite as big as Claude's from 2013-14 season, that giant that we harvested up in 15D, but it was a beautiful 173-inch ram that Frank Argo harvested. Guys, I just appreciate all your support. This episode is going to be a little bit clogged up as far as a lot of data and a lot of information. You might have to listen to it a couple times, but please feel free to email me if you have any questions about sheep at all. And I just really appreciate your support. Let's get right to the episode. Welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast. Today we've got a special episode on Arizona bighorn sheep hunting. I've got my associate Darr Colburn on the line and Craig Steele of Exclusive Pursuit Outfitters and Darr Colburn of Colburn and Scott Outfitters. Guys, how you doing?
Good, Jay. How are you?
Oh, good, Darr. It's great to have you on the line. And Craig, how you doing this morning?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Good. I'm anxious to talk to you guys today about the Bighorn Sheep Draw in Arizona. Before we get to that, I made the pilgrimage up here to Colorado and was teasing Darr this morning on the cell phone that it was 38 degrees this morning in the house when we woke up. We slept with the windows open, and Darr wasn't giving me a whole lot of sympathy for sure.
You do that every year.
No.
I'm reporting here from the banks of, the Roaring Fork River, and I'm anxious to do this podcast because there's some, changes with the bighorn sheep applications this year, and there's some things going on in northwest Arizona with the pneumonia. Craig, why don't you give us a breakdown on what you know is going on with the pneumonia in the 15s units?
I guess there's a pneumonia outbreak, for lack of better terms. It started, I believe, and you guys can correct me, but I think the first signs of it was noted in December. Sheep hunters reported some coughing sheep on their hunts. They tested some sheep that tested positive, some harvest rams, and then they tested some ewes that tested positive. In 15D, they did a recent survey, a helicopter survey in March to basically recount their numbers. And the numbers weren't as bad as what I thought they would be. In fact, in C, north, south, they actually counted more sheep than they normally did in October. In D, they counted D north and D south. They counted a little bit less sheep. I think Aaron at the region office said they counted 35% less rams. Only seen one class 4. And then recent reports they didn't see any sick sheep on that, or dead sheep. Indeed, they did see some dead sheep in C North and C South, which those units really haven't recovered. But they do think, it's kind of intriguing. They do think that C North and C South are on the recovery side of it. They did see rams, but nothing in the Class 4 range, nothing in the Class 4 range in B West. And then recently I heard that there's talk of rams that are, or sheep that are coughing in 16A in the Mojaves and in 16B. I have yet to kind of confirm, and I don't think the Game and Fish has confirmed that with testing. So it's kind of a wait and see. I went out the other day and seen 15 rams. Everything looked healthy that I saw.
Craig, let's back up here for a second. So they flew surveys in February, and they're saying they saw 35% less sheep in 15D, which rams. I believe rams. But it's a totally different time of year than in October when the sheep are rutting. I mean, do you know of reports where they found a bunch of dead rams? I mean, as far as I know, they only found 4 dead sheep total. Tell me what you know.
As far as I know, I haven't heard of any dead sheep being found in 15D, just dead sheep in the 15Cs. And they were all, those were all seen from the helicopter. They were all whited out, so they'd been dead for a while. They did not see any sick or dead sheep in 15D, as far as I'm aware.
And Darr, you're on the board of the Arizona Desert Bighorn Sheep Society. What have you heard as far as actual mortality of sheep?
Exactly what Craig's been saying. They didn't see any in D. I will say that all the sheep, all the rams checked out, I believe, were in 15D, did check out positive for pneumonia.
Okay, so the rams that they checked out, are you saying that they captured them? They did
no.
Test
the harvested rams in December, all checked, came back positive for pneumonia.
Okay, so they all came back positive for pneumonia out of the, I believe, 8 tags in 15D North, and there were 3 in 15D South. With all that being said, does anybody know how long this pneumonia manifests? I'm saying that if the rams that were killed in December came back, you're saying, Darr, that were checked out and they had pneumonia, like human beings, can they have pneumonia and get through it and everything fine? I mean, I'm hearing a 30%, decrease in ram numbers, but I'm not hearing anybody finding horns on the ground.
Yeah, that I can't answer if they can recover or not. I don't really know. I know Aaron Butler over there in Kingman did say that, like Craig said, that the 15B and C, they were thinking that it was on the rebound there, that it had already gone through there, and D, it was kind of in the earlier stages, and that they would, they were kind of expecting to see more mortality in the heat of the summer.
So when those rams clump up and start rutting and get on water, it's obviously a little bit harder on their bodies when the temperature's hot and when they're running around and when they're gathered up with other animals. But if in December, if the rams that were already killed, if all of them showed signs of pneumonia, shouldn't those symptoms of pneumonia already be working their course through? I mean, I guess we need to get someone on, biologist, that can tell us about pneumonia and how long, if you have it in your bloodstream, how long it takes to, either die from it or get over it.
That was a question, that I asked and wanted to hear was, okay, is this, how long does this take? And I think because it's wild animals and they're only going off past data, that they're suggesting a 50 to 90% die-off rate. But from what I understand, it's a new strand of pneumonia. So they really don't know if the animals, since they've been through pneumonia before in that area, if they develop new antibodies, I guess, if I'm hopefully not speaking out of context here, but, and that, Erin said that, and I'm paraphrasing everything, she said basically that they live with this in them and that something takes, some sort of new pathogen, or I don't even know what you call it, basically flares it up, and they don't really know. And there was some quote, and Darr, you can tell me if you've heard this, something about this could take 8 to 10 years before they really know where they're at. It just seems like a very, very gray and unknown, and everybody.
I think I do think there's a lot of unknown, and I didn't hear anything like that about 8 to 10 years, but Aaron did say that it could have an impact on this fall's hunt, or it could be over the next year or two, and not impact this fall's hunt.
Yeah, and I guess the question that everybody wants to know is, the crown jewel of, the Nelson I units in Arizona is 15D, which, 15D this year, last year they had 8 tags. The year before that, they had 8 tags in 15D North. They also had, I believe, 3 or 4 tags in 15D South, maybe more than that. Craig, you can correct me, but they've decreased, they have added North and South together, back how it used to be, 15D all as one unit with only 6 tags. Well, the question everybody wants to know is, do you apply for 15D and gamble that there's still some older age class rams or not? I've seen in some of the publications out there, they're just, and even in the Game and Fish regulations, they're basically saying, they're not using the words "don't apply" there, but they're basically saying, red flag this, and we don't know what we're dealing with. So I guess it's a complete crapshoot gamble whether you put in for it or not. But Craig, you've been out in the field and seen 15 rams the other day, and not one of them was coughing.
Yeah, nothing was. But it's not in the heat of the summer either. But on the same token, if you, like you said, you had rams, all the rams tested positive in December, and that's how long does it take? I think what you're getting at earlier is how long does it take for them, since all those rams tested positive. That's a pretty good swath of rams. You would think that we would have some mortality going on. How long does it take? And from what I saw, the other day, it made me feel confident. 2 of the bigger rams that I saw were off by themselves. They looked healthy as horses. That could change. I don't know. From a standpoint, I talked with a guy the other day, a prospective client that was, talking about applying there. There's really only a few options up here now to apply for non-residents. Residents obviously can draw with 1 tag, but there's 16A and 15D right here, and then you got the 13B West and 13B North, but there's only a couple options to apply for. I just pulled up the numbers, and I believe it's public information anyway. They saw 454 sheep in D during the March survey and 570 sheep in October. They saw 36% less Class 3 and 4 rams. In fact, they only saw 1 Class 4. But the other day, I saw 2 Class 4s.
But let's also, like I said before, let's footnote that.
That's not accounting.
That's 130 different animals, meaning less animals, 130 different if my math is correct. Mm-hmm. But it's a totally different time of year of flight survey.
Yes. So
to me, it means nothing. Unless you're flying over sheep and there's dead carcasses everywhere, you can't compare flight data from October to February. I'm sorry, you can't.
Yeah, and Erin mentioned that. She said that's not accounting for it. They don't have historic data on that. It's not accounting for green up and
they're in totally different areas.
Totally different areas. Rams are in ram pastures and off in little nooks and crannies, so it doesn't account for that. And like I said, the good news is they saw going into 15C, they saw 46 sheep in October in 15C North. In March, they saw 79. In C South, they saw only 12 sheep, and they saw 43 in March. There's some positives coming out of it. It's going to be a crapshoot. It's going to be a gamble, but it's a sheep tag. So, I can't imagine, when this, and I'm going back to I hunted in D in 2002 with my dad's friend, and I think there was 6 to 8 tags, and it was all D. We still saw sheep, not at the rate that we saw rams now. He killed a class 4. It wasn't. It was like a 159-inch ram. It wasn't the ram personally that I would have picked out. I think we passed on a better ram. And I wasn't guiding him per se. I was just there helping him and assisting him when I could. But there was still plenty of sheep. The unit that got hit the hardest by that strand or by that stuff the last time was 15C, north and south. So it was, in my opinion, it was still a good hunt. Maybe not. The drought had impacted the animals, I think, even worse that year versus the pneumonia outbreak. But it's
all right. Well, maybe we need to have Erin on here. I need to get Erin on and talk to her, and it's probably going to be one of those things that's revolving, and time will tell, and we'll learn as we go. What I want to cover in this episode is basically break down the units and try and go over some of the number of applicants and go over how the hunters did last year in each of the units. So why don't we do that, starting with Unit 9 and 10, which is the Cataract Canyon. I believe it's the only unit in the state. Well, before we dive into the units, let's actually just take a brief recap here of how the draw works in case there's people listening that haven't applied in Arizona. Arizona goes on a bonus point system for bighorn sheep. If you do not have maximum bonus points, which I believe is 27 this year, you need to make sure that you apply for units that don't typically always go in the max point pool. And the way the draw works on desert sheep, and you guys can weigh in if I misspeak here, the very first thing they do is the bonus point, the bonus pass, for the people with the most points. And if there's, say, 105 tags total, 10% of those tags can go to non-residents, but up to 20% go to people with the most bonus points. So what they do is they take the first pass of the draw, and the people with the most bonus points, in essence, get their first pick of the units. Therefore, that's why you don't want to, if you don't have max points, apply for some units like 22, 44B North, 24B South, where those typically always go in the max point pool. Last year, all 4 tags in 22 went to non-resident, to max point holders. All 4 of the tags in 44B North went to max point holders. And once that number of about 20, once that's filled, then the random draw goes. But Darr, you can speak to this. People, there's a ton of people that apply both choices for units that go in max point, and they actually mathematically never even have a chance in the draw. Is that correct?
Yes, that's definitely correct. But then, then you get a freak thing like the girl you guided in 44B North, Avery, who she didn't have max points, and that unit typically goes to max point holders. And for some reason, she got lucky and drew a tag.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a little bit evolving and changing in that, when Avery drew 2 years ago in 44B North, there were only 2 tags, and one of the tags went to a max point holder, but her tag, she only had, I think, 3 points, maybe even 2 points.
Right.
So it's not cut and dried, but if you're trying to stack the odds as best you can in your favor, you typically don't want to go with, say, the top 4 or 5 units. But you could have a guy that has 27 points that puts in for, say, the easiest per odds, let's say like a 13A, just because he wants to get a tag. And then you never even had a chance. So, I mean, it can change from year to year, but historically you want to stay away from those units that don't, or that stay away from the units that typically always go in the max point pool.
Correct.
Okay. And did I miss anything on kind of the general draw before we dive into each of the units?
You just might also mention that I believe non-residents can't take more than 50% of the tag hunt number.
So let's break that down. Let's talk about, like, say, Unit 43B. There's 7 tags. So if non-residents can't take more than 50%, 50% would be 3.5, but they round down, correct?
Correct. So they can take up to 3 tags in that unit.
So in 43B, up to 3 tags could go to non-residents. And correct me if I'm wrong, all 7 of those could go to max point holders if it just happened to fall within the right max point holders that put in for 43B as their first choice with max points.
Yes, it could.
Okay.
And only 10% of the total number of tags can go to non-residents.
Right. So if we're giving away roughly 105 tags, 10.5 tags, they round down. So only about 10 tags total between desert and Rockies can go to non-residents.
Correct.
Okay. Let's take a quick break here before we dive into the unit specific.
Tired of relying on out-of-date numbers, spending too much on hunting consultants, and seeing too little results? With Go Hunt Insider, the old way of doing things is over. With the introduction of Draw Odds and Filtering 2.0, you'll have access to the most accurate, up-to-date information in the industry. You can filter by state, species, trophy potential, weapon, specific days or months of the year, harvest success rate, male-to-female ratios, and much more. All of this leads to easily finding the best hunt for you. So what are you waiting for? Visit GoHunt.com/insider and join the movement.
Use the J. Scott promo code when signing up and receive a $50 KUIU gift card. Since 1982, the Outdoorsman's in Phoenix has made it their goal to provide the very best customer service combined with the latest and greatest optics and accessories in the business. Outdoorsman's is the leading designer and manufacturer of high-quality tripods and mounting accessories for any hunter's optical needs. Go to outdoorsmans.com or call 1-800-291-8065 and use the J. Scott promo code to receive 10% off all Outdoorsman's packs and pack accessories. Okay, let's talk about the first unit, Unit 9 and Unit 10. That is a 1-tag unit. That is on the Cataract Canyon, and I can tell you how the hunters did last year. There was 1 permit. There were 90 first choice applicants. There were 4 hunter days, and the ram that was shot was 154 and 2/8 inch. It had 5 rings. So it was a 6-year-old had 30-inch, 29-inch right horn, 31-inch left horn, 15-inch base on one side, 14 and 7/8 on the other. That is a very tough unit. It's one of the units that they allow more time than any other unit, and I think the reason they do that is they allot October, November, and December is it's just very few sheep and are really tough to get around. That Cataract Canyon is a tough hunt. I believe, Craig, do you have any experience on that hunt?
I have not hunted that hunt. I've been around a guy named Sam Heffelfinger who's hunted that hunt a few times. He drew the tag, and I know a couple other guys that have drawn it. It's basically hunting the Cataract Canyon. I mean, you're going to need somebody to rappel down there to recover your ram. You're basically shooting off a bench, straight down. You're looking at whatever ram shows up, and that's why you have a long season. I guess it can be a fun hunt. I know Sam loves it, but it's not a hunt that's like the other sheep hunts or most of the other sheep hunts where you're glassing up and looking around, it's a tough hunt, and most of the guys end up hiring a rappel crew out of Flagstaff to retrieve their ram. It's that type of hunt.
Okay, the next unit is 12B. Let me look here, guys. Hang on. 12B East. There's 4 tags. Yeah, 12B East. There's 4 tags. There were 703 people that applied. Guy with 10 points, 12 points, 13 points, and 20 points drew that last year. And in that hunt, they harvested a 151, a 148, a 119, and a 169. The 169 was a 33, 32 by 16 and 4/8, so we had giant bases. 16 and 4/8 with 7 rings. Scored 169, so a Boone and Crockett ram came off that hunt. And 703 people applied for 4 tags. That is basically a 1 in 175 chance of drawing.
There's 4 tags there, so non-resident can draw those.
Yeah. Next hunt is 13B North. There's 3 tags on that hunt last year. 13B North. There was a 156, a 168, and a 160. 7-year-old, 10-year-old, and an 8-year-old. Looks like the average bases were roughly, 14 and 2, 14 and 5, and 14 and 7 on that. And, I've been in 13B North. It's a pretty neat unit. There's quite a few sheep, actually. And there's some really good glassing. Access is pretty good, and it's definitely one that people, non-residents, should consider that hunt. I think for sure. 808 people applied. People with 13, 14, and 17 points applied for that unit and drew it. And it's a 1 in 269. Now, I want to note that these numbers of 808 total applicants, I'm just basically dividing that by the number of tags. You could technically get the non-resident data and break that out and get a little bit more precise, but for what we're doing here, I think that covers it. I want to break down here 13B North last year, in 2014. There was 170. One tag got returned. A guy didn't kill, and there was a 150-inch ram that was harvested. 15B as in boy. It looks like there's 1 tag in that unit. This is definitely one of those areas that I think has been affected by the pneumonia. Last year there were 3 tags. Craig, this year they're just doing 15B. There's no east or west. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
1 tag. Last year, guys drew with 8, 15, and 17 points. There were 414 people that applied for 15B West last year. This is definitely probably one that I would steer clear of. What do you think, Craig?
Yeah, I that's not a unit that I would put in for myself. There's been some big rams in the past taken, but we're talking decades, and it's not a good hunt, especially now.
Yeah, 15C North. Last year, 15C North, there were 3 tags. 444 people applied. That gives you a 1 in 48. This year, they've dropped it down to 1 tag because of the pneumonia. Last year, someone with 8, 20, and 26 points drew that hunt. I think it's a gamble this year with everything that's been said. Also, 15C South, 1 tag. Last year there were 2 tags. 456 people applied, giving you a 1 in 228. I think that's also red flagged by the Game and Fish. Probably one that I would personally steer clear of. The next hunt is 15D, which Darr and I have been fortunate to take the Raffle hunter the last 4 out of the 5 years in 15D, and harvest some real nice rams. Last year, Craig, you were with us, and Darr had a deer hunt at the same time, but you were with us last year, and the raffle ram came out of 15D South. We talked a little bit about 15D being the crown jewel of the Nelson-I units, but obviously with the big red flag, with the pneumonia and everything going on, they have included north and south together. There's 6 tags total. Last year there were 3,265 people that applied for just 8 tags in D North and 1,296 in D South. Guys drew, or that's a 1 in 408 in the north and a 1 in 324 in the south. I've got to think that way less people are going to apply for 15D this year with everything that's going on. So on one hand, it's in my mind kind of a sleeper because I think there's going to be way less people that apply for it. If you're a gambler and you're willing to shoot a younger ram or an older ram that's, a smaller ram, this may be your hunt because you may have half the people apply. Your odds may go up. But I also want to say that, I don't want you to show up for the hunt and, there not be any, class 3 or 4 rams at all in the whole unit.
Yeah, it's just all going to be, you're going to have to weigh what you want out of a sheep hunt and what you're willing to gamble. I know that personally that will be my wife and daughter's second choice. And if we don't find the type of ram, depends on with my daughter. But for my wife, let's say she draws it. If we don't find the type of ram that we want to kill, we just won't kill one. And some people will be like, "You're crazy," but it's about the hunt to me. And if you got an opportunity to have a sheep tag and as a resident gamble, and you don't have, now if you have 20 plus points, that may be a little different. But when you only have 10 years in the game or something like that, I would definitely look at that unit myself. That's just me.
Yeah, and I would say last year there were 2 tags drawn in the max point pool, 1 in D North, 1 in D South. There were guys that drew with 10, 12, 14, 20, 21, 24, and 25 in North, and 9, 11, and obviously the one with the 26 in, there actually must have been 2 people with max points in D South. Last year in D North and D South, the rams that were killed, a 150, a 166, a 176, a 155, a 152, a 172, a 156, a 168, a 170, a 164, a 165, and a 159. So obviously some great rams ranging here from looks like 7, 9, 9, 7, 6, 8, 7, 6, 9, 8, 8, 9. So definitely some older age class rams in there, and we're all kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. But I think if you're a gambler, it's definitely because they combine the units of North and South together, I definitely think it's something that people should consider applying for. And hopefully there's enough sheep there that even if they have some die-off, that you can still find some good rams to chase there.
Darr, you're getting quiet.
I'm just listening.
Okay, Unit 16A, they actually have split up this year, and they've called it 16A, excluding that portion of 16A South and east of the Big Sandy River and Mojave County parklands. And then they've included another hunt number 6012 that's 16A South, and that's the portion of 16A South and east of the Big Sandy River and 18B. Craig, can you speak on, I know, Darr, you've guided in 16A, and Craig, you have as well. Can you speak about 16A?
From scouting it last year a bunch, especially the west side, everything's spread out. I talked to Darr a lot about it. I've been down there predator hunting a bunch, and I've been all over it, but everything is all spread out. It's it's a grind of a hunt. One person didn't kill, and I believe he was hunting with a guy that's really qualified as a guide. And I think they had trouble finding an older age class ram. I know from talking with you, Jay, during the raffle hunt that I was looking for 2 rams that I had basically located, and I couldn't turn them back up. And then one of them, I believe, ended up dead. So it's just a rough hunt. And now, don't get me wrong, I think there's potential there for there to be a big ram, but be prepared to hunt the whole hunt. Be prepared to not see sheep sometimes, and just pack a lunch, because it's just very vast and very open, and there's just a lot of different mountain ranges to cover, and you're looking for a few sheep here and a few sheep there. As far as the east side, I know where it's basically matched up with 18B, or the south side, 16A South as they call it. It's south and east. There is some sheep in there. I don't know much about them other than I've seen them a few times. They're transplant sheep, some of them from 15D and from the Navajo Nation. And I guess they started transplanting them in 06. Darr may know more on that. But so and there's only one tag there, and there's no non-residents drawing that tag. And there's 2 tags in the basically 16A portion. It's actually 16A west and north, or northwest if you want to call it that. So that's the only unit out of the 16s that's available to a non-resident. So that's about all I can speak of it. I think there could be potential to be a big ram, but you're going to need to put in the work there or have somebody help you, and it's still going to be a tough hunt.
Yeah, I mean, last year they harvested a 151 and a 150. And then in 18B, the unit you speak about there, which is now part of 16A, let's call it South, I guess, they harvested a 156. And if you look back in 2014 as well, you've got a 171 was harvested, a 9-year-old, a 159 and a 156. Were harvested in 16A, and then if you bump over to 18B, there was a 6-year-old 148 ram that was harvested. And I'm with you on the 16A. I just think it's a big unit. It's spread out. The sheep are spread out. I think you better have your chin strap buckled on if you draw that tag and apply there, because you're going to need it. It's a tough hunt. Last year, 401 people applied. Guys with 13, 16, and 25 drew the tag. No tags went to max point holders, and so that would give you a 1 in 133 chance of drawing. Let's bounce down to 16B as in boy. 16B this year is a 1-tag unit, so not open for non-residents. 16B, there were 92 people that applied last year. The guy that drew it last year had 17 points. And the ram that was harvested last year in 16B was a 157, a 9-year-old. 9 rings, so a 10-year-old 157 ram with 14 and 5-inch bases. 16B, Craig, is kind of a broken up unit. Can you speak a little bit about the terrain there?
I've known a couple of people that have had that tag recently, and they both killed. There was a husband and wife. One killed a 167, and the other one killed a 164. I've heard of some good rams in there. From my understanding, it is broken up, and it's not a very big area. Lake access from Lake Havasu and having access to a boat is kind of critical to hunt those sheep. There is reports of some coughing sheep in there, so I don't know. I mean, I think it's one of those, what is there, 1 tag, so non-resident can't get that, so it's definitely a resident's going to draw that. I just personally, that hunt isn't for me because I like bigger country and seeing more, but they've killed some good rams, mid 160s and close to book type rams. I will mention that the one ram that I knew of in 16A, the guy found him in 16B. So there's an area in there from the Mojaves where they cross over and they will go into 16B. And there's a lot of people that will have pictures of rams that are on one side and the other side. So there's a little bit of crossover there that can, affect your hunt.
Let's take a quick break here. Utah Hydrographics is in the water transfer printing service, and they are open to whatever you can dream up. Choose from a wide range of camo patterns, designs, and colors. Whether it's guns, bows, tools, rifle stocks, vehicles, steering wheels, fenders, dashboards, paint guns, fishing rods, cups, tripods, watches, knife grips, helmets for a local sports team or for your motorcycle, picture frames, mailbox, animal skulls, you name it, they can probably do it. Utah Hydrographics loves taking things that are general looking and turns them into something that looks fantastic and eye-popping. Give them a call and see what they can do for you and receive up to a 10% discount by using the JScott16 promo code. Visit them at utahhydrographics.com or on Instagram at Utah Hydrographics. Whether you are interested in elk, deer, antelope, bighorn sheep, or moose, Western Hunter and Elk Hunter magazines will bring the adventure to your mailbox. These publications feature articles on the finest hunting gear, tips and tactics from experienced hunters, field judging trophies, glassing techniques, calling strategies, and much more. To become a more knowledgeable and skilled hunter, subscribe today. Go to westernhunter.net/JScott and enter your email address for a chance to win a $1,500 credit towards any Swarovski product. Okay, the next unit is Unit 22, and they're calling it Unit 22 South. This is a unit that Darr and I are very familiar with. They actually went this year from 4 tags last year to 2 tags, which I'm very happy to see. Last year, all 4 tags went in the max point pool. There's only 2 tags this year, and out of those 2 tags, 2,488 people applied last year, and this year, obviously, they cut the tags by 2 in half. The draw odds are going to be horrific. The draw odds are going to be horrific there. But, Darr, what do you think about 22?
Well, first off, I think that's a tag or hunt number that unless you have max points, I wouldn't bother applying for that hunt at all.
Because the fact that it always goes, for like the last 5 years, it's never not gone in the max point pool. So if you don't have max points, I wouldn't apply there. I agree with you. I was fortunate last year to have Craig Dunlap, he's a Washington resident but had an Arizona lifetime license from 8 or 10 years ago. I was fortunate to guide him, and 4 was just too many people on that hunt. It was a little bit of a zoo, but Craig was able to harvest a nice ram. Last year in 22, 178, a 179, a 177. And one person did not harvest, so 3 out of the 4 harvested. The rams had 16-inch bases, ranging from 15 1/8 to 16-inch bases. Unit 22 is one of my favorite units in the state of Arizona. I'm super happy that they went from 4 to 2 tags. The cream has definitely been taken off the top in Unit 22. They've had a handful of sheep die there from blue tongue, and I think dropping it down to 2 will not only make for a much better hunt, but it will allow those rams to get kind of big again, and I was excited to see that. In 2014, in Unit 22, let me look here, 22, in 2014, a 184, a 175, and a 173 rams were harvested. The next unit is 24B North, which is on the south and let's call it the in some places the east side of Canyon Lake and Apache Lake. Only one tag, so not a unit for non-residents. 24B North last year had 438 people apply. The person that did draw it drew with 26 bonus points, which was max, so it went in the max point pool. And 24B North usually goes in the max point pool, but it has from year to year at times gone to just a random tag holder, but most of the time it goes in the max point pool. Last year, I actually saw the ram harvested, a nice ram, 174 and 2/8, was a 9-year-old, had 15-inch bases. That's always a great hunt in 24B North. Darr, I know you like 24B North as well.
It is. It's a great hunt. It looks, it's a very physical hunt, though, I would say, as well.
For sure. The next hunt is hunt number 6017, 24B South. 24B South, they actually reduced the tags by one, so there's only one tag in there. Typically, that's a 2-tag unit that can go to non-residents. This year, it's just one person tag, so no non-residents. 24B South is one of the best units in the state. Last year, with the 2 tags, there were 993 people that applied. It did go in the max point pool. That's a 1 in 496 to draw, and with that many, I don't see that application number going down. Do you, Darr? Even though they reduced a tag, other than the non-residents, I think there might be as many residents that are going to pile in on that hunt because non-residents can't.
Correct, and with 22 losing 2 tags, I think quite a few people will jump over to that hunt.
Yeah, and last year in 24B South, 24B South, there was 2 tags. There was a 181 that was a 10-year-old ram and a 174 that was a 9-year-old ram harvested. 24B South is one of the best units in the state. Highly recommend that unit. Let's see. 28. Unit 28 is a 1-tag unit. Last year in Unit 28, there were 244 people that applied. The tag did go to a max point holder. So that's probably definitely, well, not every year does it go to max, but it has over the last couple of years. In 28 last year, they harvested a 171, and if you look at 2014 in Unit 28, they harvested a 171 as well. So that's a solid unit. Definitely a great unit for a resident only with 1 tag. I think in 13 they killed a 170 ram too, so that's a real solid unit for sure. The next unit is hunt number 6019, 3132. That's the Aravaipa Canyon. This year, 3132, they've added a tag to 3 tags. Last year, 887 people applied for that, giving you a 1 in 443. This year, by adding a tag, I think there's going to be more applicants are going to pile in on that hunt. Are you trying to say something, Darr?
No, huh?
Okay, last year in 3132, they harvested a 171 and a 170, and in 2014, I don't have the data here for some reason.
It was a 157. There was 1 tag.
Okay, a 157. I actually show there being 2 tags and maybe one guy didn't kill. I've got an 8-year-old 157. I don't know what the discrepancy is on that. Anyway, That's always a good unit. I think with 3 tags, it's great to see Aravaipa's numbers back up again. Hopefully this incremental jump up to 3 tags doesn't, hurt the quality, score-wise of these rams. But it's always nice for our game and fish to, if they can find an extra ram here or there that can be harvested, that's good, because you hear outbreaks like pneumonia and stuff, Darr, and it makes you want to say, well, man, maybe we should have harvested more rams when we had the chance.
Yeah, and one thing with 3132 is the Sheep Society has been doing a lot of work on the lions in there, and I think it's really helped the sheep.
Yeah, good point. 37A is the next unit. It's a 2-tag unit. Last year, according to my calculations, both tags went in the max point pool. And I will also say that both tags last year in 3132 went in the max point pool. 1,052 people applied. This year in 37A, there's 2 tags, so there's no change there. Last year in 37A, there was a 153 and a 167, and in 2014, in 37A, there was just 1 tag, and there was a 174. So definitely some nice size there. The 37A is the Silver Bells down by Tucson, and definitely one of a great unit. It's also the unit where that Speckles ram that all of us that are Arizona Desert Bighorn Sheep Society members have seen on the cover of the publication. And hopefully one of these years that ram will get harvested. Next unit is hunt number 6021, 37B. That's kind of that picket post superstitions area. 1 tag. Let's see, 1 tag this year, 1 tag last year. 293 people applied. The guy that drew it last year, it was actually a gal, drew with 24 points. So that's a 1 in 293. I think that's an up-and-coming unit. It wouldn't surprise me there to, see a good, really good ram come out of there. Last year, there was an 11-year-old 170 and 3/8 inch ram that a lady killed. Awesome ram. In 2014, in 37B, there was a 171, 7-year-old 171. So definitely a good trend there. A couple years in a row of good rams coming out of 37B. Definitely not a choice for non-residents, but definitely for quality, a choice that a resident should definitely look at. Next hunt is 39 East. I have no experience in 39 East. It's a 1-tag unit. 39 East, 113 people applied there last year. Did not go in the max point pool. A gentleman with 15 points drew that. And 39 East last year harvested a 156. And in 2014, in 39 East, a 159 8-year-old was harvested. The next unit is 39 West. 39 West was 2 tags last year, 2 tags this year, no change. 403 people applied for it last year. Someone with 9 and 17 points drew that tag. It's a 1 in 201. So 39 West last year in 2015. 2 tags. Let me see here. Well, 140, a 3-year-old was harvested, and a 162 ram, a 7-year-old 162 ram was harvested. And in 2014, in 39 West, a 165 and a 164. Don't know much about 39 West. 40A, 2 nice rams were harvested last year. There's 2 tags this year, 2 tags last year. 212 people applied. Someone with 4 points and 18 points. Actually, a gal drew it. Eric Hunt's wife drew it last year. She must have been the one with 4, and then someone with 18. The 2 rams that were harvested last year, let me look here, 40A, a 179 and a 178. Looks like a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old harvested. Looks like the 6-year-old had just over 16 and an 1/8 inch bases, was 35 and 5 and 35 and 6 by 16 inch bases. The other ram was 37 by 38, 15 and a half inch bases. That is kind of a sleeper unit. If you want my opinion, I think it's a very tough unit to hunt because of the illegal aliens crossing back and forth and the drug trafficking and such. I talked to one of the hunters last year, and they said they had a lot of problems with illegal trafficking and stuff, and running into some kind of rough characters. So I think that's definitely something to watch with that 40A hunt. 40B is broken up actually into 3 units: the Gilas, the Mohawks, and the Tanaha Altas. This year, the Gilas have doubled the amount of tags. So last year they went with 2 tags, and someone with 10 and 13 points drew 271 applicants, so a 1 in 135. They've doubled the amount of tags in the Gilas. So obviously I think your odds are going to go up for drawing. Last year in the Gilas, they had a 147 and a 161 harvested, and if so they've doubled the amount of tags. It seems like probably by doubling it, people are going to be kind of crawling all over each other. I'm not familiar with that unit, but if you're looking for maybe a pretty good draw odds, that one, 271 people applied for 2 tags. If you take that same 271 applying for 4, your odds are going to be a lot better there. Next hunt is the 40B Mohawk and Coppers. There's 2 tags. Last year there were 3 tags. Someone with 14, 21, and 24 drew. They've dropped it down to 2. There were 479 total applicants last year. And in the Mohawks in 2015, there was a 154 and a 155 and a 149 harvested, a 9-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old harvested. This year, there's only 2 tags, so your odds are going to go down in that unit. The next hunt is the 40B Tanajas Altas. There's 2 tags. Last year there was 1, so they've increased this by 1. I don't know what the heck that was. There's 129 people that applied last year for 1 tag. Someone with 17 bonus points drew that tag. So they're added a tag this year in the Tanaha Altas. Last year there was a 173, a 10-year-old killed. In 2014, it doesn't even look like they had a hunt in there according to my calculations. Let me look here.
It was
you
a
got
159.
That one, Dar?
159.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, 159 ram. Next hunt is one that I think is somewhat of a sleeper. 41 East, that's the Eagle Tails, which used to be the crown jewel of kind of western Arizona. I think it's a little bit on the rebound. There's 2 tags. Last year there was 1 tag. 187 people applied for 1 tag last year. Someone with 9 points drew it. I think as far as quality, it's probably on the rebound. If you look at 2015, a 148 7-year-old ram was killed, and in 2014, a 155, but historically some really good rams have been killed in there, and I think it's definitely one that's a sleeper that you could potentially find a decent ram in. Next hunt is 41 West, which is the Little Horns. That's west of Dateland and the Palomas-Harquahala Road, and that portion north of the El Paso gas pipeline and west of the AT&T frontage road. They have also added a tag in this unit. Last year, 102 people applied for one tag. The person that drew had 14 points. They've added a tag in there, so they've in essence doubled the amount of tags. Last year in 41 West, a 9-year-old 164-inch ram was shot. Looks like it had 14.5-inch bases. And in 2014, it looks like 148.5 6-year-old ram was harvested. I think this unit potentially could be a sleeper as well. Definitely a little bit better draw odds by doubling the amount of tags and kind of, mid-average quality. The next hunt is 6030. That's 42 and 44A. Let's see, 44A East, that portion south of Highway 260, 60. They have reduced the number of tags. Last year they had 2. This year they're down to 1. Last year there were 382 people that applied for 2 tags. Last year, someone with 18 and someone with max points drew that hunt. That hunt is a new hunt, I believe, as of 2 years ago, and it's located just outside of Phoenix. And the stats here on that hunt, last year, a 168 ram was harvested. Help me out here, Darr. There were 2 tags last year.
Yeah, only one hunter killed.
One hunter killed. Okay, and then in 2014, there were 2 rams that were harvested. One was a 172 and a 173, and I believe that was the first year that it was actually open one more year before that. I think Dave Acosta had it in 2013, and he harvested a ram over 170 as well.
Mm-hmm.
That is a hunt that obviously non-residents can't draw. Residents, I think there's probably a decent ram in there, but obviously the numbers are going down. That shows the reduction of tag from 2 to 1. Next hunt here is 43A. 43A is a 1 tag unit. Last year, 140 people applied for the 1 tag, and here's the story we all like to hear. Last year, the person that drew the tag had 1 bonus point, drew 43A, and harvested a ram, let's see, in 2014, a 171 and 6/8 8-year-old ram. In 2014, in 43A, you had a 165 8-year-old ram. It's a pretty big unit. There's not a ton of sheep in it. Definitely not a non-resident unit. And I've spent a little bit of time in there, but not much. 43B. This is a unit that a lot of people like. There's 7 tags. Last year there were 7 tags, 1,221 total applicants. The people that drew it last year with 1 bonus point, 13, 14, 16, 21, 24, and 26 drew this. So 1 person in the max point pool drew this tag. And there were some pretty nice rams in 2015. Let's see here. A 175 9-year-old that was 38.5 by 14 and 7/8 inch base is just a beautiful ram. A 156, a 179 that was 37.5 and had 15 and 6/8 inch bases. A 166 and 4/8, a 107, it looks like a 2-year-old, a 158 and a 158 and 2/8. So a couple pretty nice rams there, Darr, a 175 and a 179 and looks like a 166.
pretty good little quality there in that unit.
Yeah, especially last year. But it seems like just looking at years past, they've almost every year killed a book ram out of that unit.
Yeah, definitely something that non-residents should look at. Up to 3 of those tags could go to non-residents on that hunt. Okay, 44A East, hunt number 6033. That's a 1 tag unit. Last year it was 1 tag. 105 people applied for that. The person that drew it had 23 bonus points, and the quality, it's kind of mediocre in there. A 149 and 2/8 8-year-old ram was harvested in 2014. A 156 7-year-old ram was harvested, and 3 or 4 or 5 years before that, there was a really big 180 plus inch ram, but since then it's just kind of been, the quality hasn't been quite as good for sure. Next hunt is 44A West, 1 tag unit, obviously not for non-residents. 44A West, last year 130 people applied for 1 tag. The person that drew had 13 bonus points. The quality of ram last year in 44A West was a 151 and 2/8. In 2014, the ram was 172 9-year-old. That's a unit that doesn't have a lot of sheep, and sometimes they can be hard to find, but can every once in a while have a pretty good ram. Next hunt is one that Darr and I are both very familiar with. That's 44B North. Quite honestly, I was disgusted to see him go to 4 tags. Last year, they jumped it up to 4 tags. From 2 to 4, they doubled it. Last year in 44B North, every single tag went to max point holders. 1,682 people applied. That's 1 in 420. If you don't have max points, I would not apply in this unit. Typically always goes in the max point pool. It used to be, in my opinion, an unbelievable unit. I think that they've really knocked the cream off the top. If you look at the 2015 numbers, there was a 154 7-year-old, a 162 8-year-old, a 169 10-year-old, and a 154 7-year-old. If you're looking for a really good ram, I would look elsewhere. It definitely used to be one of Darr and I's top picks. I think they've really knocked the cream off the top in there. I wish they would drop it back down from 4 to 3 or 2. I don't know how they went from 2 to 4 in the first place, and now they've kept it at 4. I think if they don't reduce the numbers there, they're going to see dramatic quality difference there. You agree, Darr?
Yeah, totally agree.
44B South is the next hunt, hunt number 6036. 2 tags. Last year there were 649 people that applied. There was someone with 7 and 23 bonus points that drew that hunt. That's a 1 in 324. Pretty good quality. Last year there was I've got a 174. For some reason, Darr, I'm just showing 1.
Yeah, one hunter did not harvest.
Okay, so let's see. And in 2014, I'm showing a 175 8-year-old. I think 44B South, definitely in the new waters. I was in there with Eric Swanson a few years ago, and I think it's an up-and-coming unit. I just hope that, 2 tags in there 2 years in a row isn't too many. I like to see older age class rams and big rams, but I definitely think 44B South is a decent unit for sure. Okay, 45A, 3 tags. Last year there was 3 tags. 540 people applied. Someone with 13, 15, and 16 bonus points applied for that unit. And the quality in 45A, last year a 151, 4-year-old, a 161 7-year-old, and a 156 6-year-old was harvested. I have not spent any time in 45A. 45B is 2 tags. Last year it was 2 tags. 266 people applied. Definitely can go to a non-resident. 45A and B can go to a non-resident because it has more than 1 tag. Last year in 45B, there was someone that drew with 16 bonus points and 18 bonus points. 266 people applied. In 45B last year, they killed a 155 and a 135. In 2014, they killed I just show in 2014, 1 tag and a 138 was harvested. If you go to the next hunt, which is 45C, the Kofa National Wildlife Refuge, 2 tags. Last year there was only 1. 114 people applied. Someone with 15 bonus points drew that tag. Last year in 45C, a 154 6-year-old was harvested. And in 2014, a 157 8-year-old was harvested. Let's jump down to, there's a few units, Darr. 12A, 12B West, I really don't know much about. A 1 tag unit. 13A is kind of a rough hunt. There's 1 tag in that unit. And last year, actually, a decent ram was harvested. The guy that drew with 16 points. There was 108 people that applied, and 13B, let me look real fast here, or excuse me, 13A, maybe you got it before me, Darr. 174, beautiful ram. I actually saw a picture of it, 37 and 3/8, 37 and 5/8 by 14 and 7/8 based ram was killed. Historically, good rams don't really come out of 13A, or at least the last couple years. Let me look in 2014, a 165. So not bad. 14 and 15, a 165 and a 174. Pretty darn good, actually. Now that I look at it, 13A, that might be something that someone can sneak in there and find something decent.
Yeah, but you look at the 2 years before that, too. A ram wasn't killed in 13, and a 96 was killed in, I believe, 12.
Yeah, and then you've got 13B South, which 13B South, they actually give you November 16th to December 31st, so that tells me that they're giving you more time. It was probably a tougher hunt. 13B South, there were 82 people that applied for 1 tag. The person that drew it had 1 point, and let's see how they did. 13B South. I don't have it here.
They didn't kill last year or the year before that. Or the year before that, I believe. So.
Okay, so that's obviously a tough hunt.
That means there's a giant there, right?
Yeah.
Well, it could be. Glad to have you back, Craig. What, have you been on mute? Haven't heard much from you lately.
I've been taking advantage of the time.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take another quick break here, and then we're going to finish this up.
Have you guys heard about PhoneScope? PhoneScope is a privately held company that makes custom-molded, precisely engineered smartphone digiscoping adapters. Photographing wildlife has never been easier. Take digiscoping photos and videos from your smartphone and share them with your friends. PhoneScope stands behind their product with a 100% money-back guarantee. PhoneScope is the future of digiscoping. Get yours now. Use the JScott16 promo code and receive 10% discount on all purchases. Check them out at PhoneScope, that's PhoneSkope.com, or on Instagram at PhoneScope. Wilderness Athlete is committed to improving the health and quality of life for the outdoor athlete by providing field-tested, scientifically validated nutrition and sports performance products. Check them out at wildernessathlete.com and use the JScott promo code to receive 10% off any order.
Okay, hunt number 6015 is the Superstition Wilderness Hunt Area 24B Wilderness. Last year there was one tag. 381 people applied for that tag. It's a new tag. It's only been around a few years. Last year, let's see, 24B Wilderness, 178 ram was killed, a 35, right horn 35 and 2/8, left horn 38 and 3/8 by 15.5-inch based ram, 178 and an eighth ram was killed. This is a hunt for residents only. As far as quality, I think it's a fantastic hunt. I think it's a great hunt to shoot a ram, 170 plus for sure. If you look at 2014 in that unit, let's see, 173 was killed in that unit in 2014. And with the reduction of tag in 24B South, I think that's a pretty darn good tag, don't you, Darr?
Definitely, but it's a wilderness hunt, so be prepared for wilderness conditions.
Yeah, you and I have both been in there, and it's as rough as it gets for sure. Okay, 46A East, there's two tags. Last year there were two tags. 234 people applied for that. Two people with 13 and 14 points drew that. That's a 1 in 117. If you look at how they did last year in, okay, hang on, 46A East, 168 8-year-old, a 160 10-year-old ram were harvested. If you go to 46A West, there's two tags also. Hang on just a second. Two tags also. 46A West is west of Growler Wash, Cabeza Prieta National Wildlife Refuge. Two tags. There were 142 people that applied last year. Someone with 0 points and someone with 9 points drew that tag. So someone that had never applied before drew it. It's a 1 in 171 chance of drawing. And let's look at the success. 46A West, a 154 and a 150. Let's see. Sorry, a 154 and a 151. And then the next hunt is 46B East. That's Cabeza Prieta. 142 people applied. 376 people applied for 46B East. Someone was 17, 21, and for some reason I don't have the final fourth person, but that's a 1 in 94. Pretty good quality. Let me see, 46B East last year, a 152, a 152, a 165, and a 151 were harvested. If you go back to 2014, it's skewed because it wasn't broke down yet, I think.
Correct.
Yeah, it wasn't broke into an east and west. But if you look at 46B across the board in 14, there was a 166, a 176, a 166, a 161, a 146, a 157 that were harvested. The Cabeza Prieta, our friend Greg Coons, guides in there exclusively. Well, I shouldn't say exclusively, but he typically guides and has a client in there every year, and they do pretty well. The next hunt is 46B West, which is the west side of the Cabeza Prieta. Last year there were 402 people that applied. Someone with 9, 14, 20, and 22 bonus points drew there. That's a 1 in 100. Last year in 46B West, there was a 157, a 172, a 145, and a 154 ram that was harvested. And then again in 14, that was when you could hunt the whole Cabeza Prieta either east or west. So I think those Cabeza Prieta tags are for residents, someone that's willing to backpack and really get after it. As far as quality, I think you have a chance to find a quality ram. Very, very tough hunting conditions, very arid. You really need to know what you're doing. You probably need pack horses. Our friend Greg Coombs, knows that area inside and out. He would definitely be someone that I would ask about the Cabeza Prieta if I were to draw that tag.
Yeah, and definitely one of those units are some of the better odds units for residents and non-residents.
But I think the reason they are better odds is it's very, very tough hunting. Very little road access and a lot of walk-in, backpack-style hunting, for sure.
Definitely, but they do shoot good rams every year, too. So that's
it seems like every year. Yeah, exactly. And I'm just going to briefly, I know we're running out of time here, I'm going to briefly touch on the Rocky Mountain Bighorn Sheep. My only thing with Rocky Mountain Bighorn Sheep, Darr, you had a hunter last year in 6A. I helped Brian Rimza in 2013 tie the state record, Rocky. My only experience with Rockies are in 6A, and I noticed this year they split the unit into two hunts, 2 tags per hunt. The first hunt is November 18th through December 8th. And the second hunt is December 9th through December 31st. Last year, they went back to all 4 hunters hunting at the same time in the whole month of December. I can speak for, in 2013, Brian's year, it was a split hunt, and it was hard because Brian had the second hunt. Both of our 2 best rams got killed on the first hunt, and that was a little disheartening. But as far as quality of hunt, I think splitting the hunts is a good idea. I think the first hunt is better because of the dates. The 18th through December 8th should just be absolute prime rut. Incredible hunt. That would be my pick for a Rocky Mountain Bighorn. What about you, Darr?
Yeah, definitely, and it's interesting that last year none of the 4 tags went to max point holders, but the year before all 4 went to max point holders, I believe. So
yeah, I mean that's definitely something to weigh into. I mean, I can't think of a better hunt or dates. November 18th through December 8th for just rutting action in a great unit that's 6A and 22 North, pretty accessible, but there's also some rough stuff that definitely a big sheep could live in.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and then we won't even go into the rest of the Rocky hunts.
Oh, man. Gave everybody my first choice.
Like people don't know it.
Gee, I was going to tell everybody to put in for 23 and 24A.
Yeah. Well, did I miss anything there, guys, or anything you guys want to add?
Well, Craig killed his desert, so he was probably waiting to figure out what to put in for a Rocky, and we're skipping it. So
I know you guys are
probably not going to know what to do.
You guys are providing knowledge to people and messing up my draw odds.
The 3 people that listen to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast, you, me, and Darr. Guys, I want to thank you for being on. I know we covered a lot of ground. I know I've guided with both of you, and both of you are good friends, and you guys have had some great success guiding sheep hunters and guiding hunters in general. Darr, if I was going to ask you for a non-resident, what would be your 2 desert, and you too, Craig, your top 2 choices for non-residents? Or give me a handful of choices, what you think are the best couple.
Go ahead, Darr.
Well, for me, I think that 13B North is an interesting choice. Decent odds and good sheep, and I would almost be willing to take a gamble on the 15 unit, 15D, because of the disease. Applicants will probably be down. The number hunters will be down, so that I think you'll have a good experience if you did draw the tag. And it's a neat unit. We've all hunted it, and I sure hope it stays good.
For sure.
For me, if I was advising my dad and he was a non-resident, I would tell him probably to do 43B and then 15D. I still think 15, just the tag numbers in both those units, and the quality, and I still believe 15D is going to have a couple book rams come out of it. That's just my personal opinion. I could be completely wrong. Kuyu gears here.
What, does that mean you got to go because the Kuyu gear just arrived at the door?
Yeah.
And the UPS man's trying to steal it out of your box?
Yeah, it actually came FedEx.
Oh, nice. I would say I kind of agree with Darr on 13B North. It's a pretty neat unit to hunt. I also like Craig's idea of 43B, but I also think that, even if they have some die-off, I would draw 15 and just hope that you could find one ram that was a good one, that is still alive and not too sick, and just hope for it. So that's kind of my 2 cents.
I'm salivating to go to the door right now.
With that being said, guys, thanks a lot for being on. I appreciate both of you, and I appreciate your input. And I do want to note that the deadline is June 14th, and June 14th is the deadline to apply. And if you have any questions, you can email me at jscottoutdoors@gmail.com. You can email Darr at darrcolburn@AOL.com, and Craig Steele. Craig, what's your email?
CraigSteeleAZ@gmail.com.
Okay, great. Guys, thanks for being on, and I'll catch you guys later.
Later.
Thanks for having us.